steel sink right now. When it was installed, it caught the light. Today it looks tired, hazy, streaked, ringed around the drain, with a crust of white buildup climbing the faucet. You have scrubbed it a dozen times with a wet rag, and nothing changes. So, you decide that is simply what happens to an older sink, that whatever shine it had is gone for good. That is not true. Your sink can look brand new again. And it takes a handful of things already sitting under your kitchen sink, plus about 10 minutes of your time. I am going to walk you through the exact process, start to finish, in the same order I use in my own kitchen. Before we touch a single cleaner, you need to understand why your regular wiping has never worked. A dull stainless sink is not one problem. It is three problems stacked on top of each other. A greasy film left behind from washing dishes, a chalky mineral scale that hard water leaves as it evaporates, and water spots that form whenever the sink is left to air dry. A soapy sponge only touches the first of those three. It never reaches the other two. That is the whole reason the shine never comes back. You have to strip away each layer separately in the right order, grease first, then scale, then a proper dry off. Do all three, and the bright metal underneath reappears exactly as it looked the day it was installed. None of this is difficult. It only takes knowing the three layers exist and tackling them one at a time. Quick note before we get into it. I'm Naomi Yoder, and the kind of practical, handed-down household knowledge I'm sharing with you today is only a small piece of what I've collected over the years. There's far more than I could ever fit into a single video, and I've put the rest of it together in one place for anyone who wants it. If what you learned today is useful, that's where the rest lives. Now, to the sink itself. My grandmother kept her steel sink gleaming for as long as I can remember, and she had a line she repeated often. The sink is the face of the kitchen, the first thing anyone notices and the last thing they see on their way out. And a sink that shines makes the whole room feel cared for, even if everything else is a mess. She never once reached for an expensive polish. Her secret was simply doing the basics properly. Clear the grease, clear the scale, and above all, dry it. Dry steel shines, she'd say. Wet steel spots. That last step is the one almost everyone skips, and it happens to be the one that matters most. I'll get to it, but let's go through the whole routine in order first. Step 1. Clear and rinse. Before any product touches the sink, empty it completely. Dish rack, sponge, soap bottle, everything sitting on the rim. Move it all out of the way so you have a clean, open basin to work with. Then run water over the entire sink, top to bottom, to flush out loose debris, crumbs, coffee grounds, whatever has collected, so you're not just smearing dirt around once you start cleaning. Always begin with a bare, rinse sink. Step 2. Cut the grease. Before you can bring back any shine, you need to break down the greasy film that daily dishwashing leaves behind, because that film is exactly what the dullness is clinging to. Ordinary dish soap handles this perfectly. It's built to cut grease, which is exactly the job here. Apply a generous amount across the whole basin, then use a soft, non-scratch scrubbing sponge to work it into every surface, the sides, the bottom, and especially the area around the drain, where grime tends to collect most heavily. Pay attention to that narrow lip just under the rim, since buildup likes to hide there. Scrub thoroughly, then rinse it clean. Already you'll notice an improvement. The greasy haze is gone. But don't stop here. The mineral scale and underlying dullness are still sitting on the steel beneath, where the grease used to be. Step 3. Lift the scale and bring up the shine. This is the step that actually restores the brightness. For this you want a gentle scouring powder, and the best option for stainless steel is one built around oxalic acid, a mild acid that does two jobs simultaneously. It dissolves hard water scale, and it polishes the bare steel underneath back to a shine. There are ready-made cleansers built around this that work well, or you can mix your own scouring paste from plain oxalic acid, or even use a fine grit paste with a bit of soap. Sprinkle or spread a small amount over the basin and scrub it in with your soft sponge, covering the whole surface and drain area. Here's something worth noticing while you scrub. In the dirtiest spots, the suds will often shift from white to a dingy brown. That's not a warning sign. It's confirmation the treatment is working, because that discoloration is the grime and dullness lifting off the metal and into the foam. Two things to be careful of here. First, always scrub in the direction of the grain. Brushed stainless has fine lines running one way, and going against them will leave visible scratches. Second, don't let this acidic cleaner sit for long. Work it in, give it roughly a minute, then rinse. Leaving it too long can actually damage the finish rather than help it. And don't skip the back of the sink or around the base of the faucet. Hard water buildup loves to collect in those overlooked spots too, so scrub them while your cleaner is already out. Step 4. Detail the drain. This is where grime and odor tend to concentrate, so grab an old toothbrush and work it around the drain rim and into any tight crevices a sponge can't reach. If your sink has a garbage disposal with a rubber splash guard, that piece needs attention as well. Scrub both the top and underside, since food particles get trapped under it and start to smell if ignored. Some guards lift out for a full wash. Others you clean in place by lifting each flap. Whether or not you have a disposal, running a toothbrush around the drain clears out where trouble tends to hide. Once that's done, rinse the entire sink thoroughly. Spray it all down and follow with a damp cloth to make sure no cleanser residue remains anywhere, since any left behind will dry into a new dull film. Step 5. Soak the faucet. The heaviest scale usually builds up on the underside of the faucet head and around the small openings where water comes out. Scrubbing alone rarely shifts scale like this because it's hardened mineral deposit, and what actually breaks it down is a mild acid left to soak. Store-bought descalers exist for this, but plain white vinegar does the identical job for a fraction of the cost. Wrap a vinegar-soaked cloth around the faucet head, or fill a small bag or cup with vinegar and hold or tie it up so the scaled section sits submerged. Let it soak 2 to 3 minutes, longer if the buildup is heavy. Then scrub with your toothbrush. The softened scale lifts away easily. Rinse, and the faucet looks nearly new. One safety note that applies to any acid cleaner: never combine vinegar with bleach, or use it right after a bleach-based product, since the combination produces a dangerous gas. Vinegar works fine on its own, just keep it away from bleach entirely. Step 6. The step almost everyone skips. After all that rinsing, your sink is clean but soaked. Walk away and let it air dry, and within the hour you'll have fresh spots and streaks covering all your work. So take a soft, dry cloth, microfiber works best, and buff the entire sink bone dry. Basin, sides, faucet, everything, until not a drop of moisture remains. That final dry off is what prevents streaking and spotting, and it's genuinely the difference between a sink that looks okay and one that looks brand new. Never let it air dry. Always buff it dry by hand. That's the real secret behind a sink that shines, and it costs you nothing but 30 extra seconds. It's worth asking why so few people know these basic steps anymore. Why a shining sink has come to feel like something only a specialty polish or professional cleaner can achieve. There's a simple explanation. There's money in selling stainless steel polish, descaling spray, and shine treatments, a separate bottle for every single step I just showed you, purchased again and again. There's no money at all in telling you that dish soap handles the grease. A little oxalic scrub restores the shine, plain vinegar dissolves the scale, and a dry cloth finishes the job, all for pennies, using things you already own. So the branded bottles get the shelf space and the advertising, while the plain, practical knowledge of tackling grease, scale, and moisture in order just quietly stopped getting passed down, until a dull sink started to feel like an inevitable part of aging rather than something that was always fixable. Restoring it takes a few cheap ingredients and about 10 minutes. Clear the sink and rinse it. Cut the grease with dish soap. Scour away the scale and bring up the shine with a bit of oxalic powder. Worked along the grain. Detail the drain and soak the faucet in vinegar. And above everything else, buff the whole thing bone dry. Your dull sink comes back looking like the day it was installed, for almost nothing. So here's what I'd like you to try. Take 10 minutes this week and run through these steps on your own sink. Soap, scour, vinegar, and the dry buff. Then come back and tell me in the comments how it turned out. I genuinely enjoy hearing about a sink that got brought back from being written off. And if your own family had a different trick for keeping a sink bright that I haven't mentioned here, share that too. That's really what this is about, passing along what we've learned from each other. Next time, I'll show you the small daily habits that keep that shine going so your sink never gets dull enough to need this deep a clean again. A little care and a dry cloth turned into an everyday routine. There's a simple, old-fashioned way to keep a kitchen looking bright using almost nothing from a bottle. And this week, you start with one sink. Clear it, rinse it, cut the grease, scour up the shine, soak away the scale, and buff it completely dry. Watch your dull old sink come back gleaming like new, and you'll see